Stay tuned. The show is about to begin.
Hello, 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 and welcome to another edition of the Brian Colletto Show here on Fireside, also streaming to my YouTube channel. And tonight, I would like to first open with a little bit of something related to autism, because I know that's what people come to my show for. Um, so, um, I was doing some research today, and I found out that the first case of someone being diagnosed with autism was 80 years ago, 50 years before yours truly. And this guy, his name is Donald Triplett. He was the first case to be diagnosed. And I don't know much about him other than the fact that he did um, die last month in June at the age of 89. So that leads me to believe he was diagnosed at 9 with autism. Um, and and so, other than that, I don't know much about him. But it did get me thinking that it's interesting that autism has been around for 80 years, and yet it's really only gained steam or gained a lot of traction within, I would say, the past almost 2 decades. Because um, when I was growing up in school, it wasn't talked about as much. And I struggled with friendships in school, as I've said many times on my show. But it does bear repeating because, again, that's what people come here for. And there may always be some new people popping in who have never heard me before. So, but yes, uh, I did not have it easy as a kid. But and I still think that to this day there are still a lot of things to be done, and more striving towards acceptance. And I do always say that the earlier the diagnosis, the better. Um, but even if it is a later diagnosis, you can still achieve great things. And I've learned of a number of different people on the spectrum who were late diagnoses who have done great things, specifically through LinkedIn. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit sad that it took 6 decades before we really started to begin to make more movement towards um, awareness and acceptance of autism. But we're making progress now. That's the most important thing. So that is what I wanted to say about that from things that I read. Um, Now, as for me personally, since the last show, um, I actually am staying on schedule and doing my weekly show 1 week after the last show. So I'm proud of myself for that tonight. And so last week, um, there were a few activities that I did. Um, I attended a a couple or a few networkings. The one on Tuesday night was a big one by my state's statewide Hispanic chamber. I have friends in the chamber, so that's why I went to that. And I believe in celebrating all cultures. The next one I went to was on the Thursday at a restaurant in my town. Um, Nothing too extraordinary about that, but it was a good event. And then uh, on Friday, I went to the group that I traveled the furthest for and have traveled the furthest for within the last year. It was my 1 year anniversary this month with that group, and it and it was a good time there. Although it was cut short a little bit because the restaurant was having a private wedding party, um, and and so. But I was also faced with some tests at that one. This can be another testament of autism, actually, and that is that when I got there and it was almost 10 minutes past 4 o'clock, I was wondering, was I going to be the only one that showed up? And I was looking at um, some uh, places um, to see if any sort of cancellation had been announced. It had not. So I just kept the faith that they would eventually come, and they did. So, uh, the reason I say that this can be an autism moment is because stuff like this can really rattle somebody, and it could have rattled me. I mean, I drove 45 minutes, and to drive 45 minutes and then be the only one that shows up uh, can really rattle somebody. It can really trigger them, make them angry. It didn't do that for me, though. And I think a lot of that is because I've gained a lot of experience over the years. And I trust in God. And, um, and I knew that even if it, even if I was the only one that showed up, it was still worth it. I had missed the group's meeting in June because the weather was uh, too much of a question mark for me to go. Um, but this time it wasn't. And so I went and had a good time. And again, although cut short, then shorter than usual, um, I enjoyed it. And yeah, other than that, my weekend was low key. Um, and without getting too much into detail about it for the purpose of um, privacy, I will say that there were a few emotional moments. for me personally. Um, and But I just kept thinking about uh, what would uh, that person want me to do, and so um, that and also the audio platforms that I use, like Fireside. Um, Although I haven't really spoken in anybody's spaces lately on Fireside, but the other platforms that I use, um, it's really made a difference, and it's great to know that people can be available to me at any time, and it really makes a difference. So, and again, that can be an autism moment as well, with the emotional overwhelm. But it was also some happy thoughts within there as well. Um, to know that I am able to handle more than I could have, um, maybe uh, 10, 20 years ago. So um, that is what I've got tonight. Um, there was a person that briefly popped in and then they popped right back out. It's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But to anyone who um, listens to this on replay, however much you listen to it, uh, I appreciate your support. And hopefully, I'll be back next week. And until next time, I send you all love, light, blessings, and peace.